Vanilla Ice. When Ice Ice Baby blew up in 1990, Vanilla Ice became a superstar overnight, the first rapper ever to hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. To the public, he looked like this wild, tough white kid who grew up in Miami's roughest streets, survived gangs, rode dirt bikes, and hustled his way to fame. That image made him seem authentic in a genre built on real stories and attitude.
Word to your mother. So you're saying you're from the streets? Word to your mother.
But almost everything about that backstory was fake. His label New Image sold records, so they built one for him. They crafted a whole street kid narrative from scratch, and Ice played along, claiming he grew up around gang life and constant danger. In reality, Robert Van Winkle was raised in Farmers Branch, a comfortable upper-middle-class suburb outside Dallas. His childhood wasn't filled with violence or poverty. Even his motocross championship was exaggerated. He raced locally, but he was never the national star his team claimed. Then came the scandal that turned him into a punchline. The baseline for Ice Ice Baby was directly lifted from Queen and David Bowie's Under Pressure. When he was confronted, Ice tried to argue that his version was different, giving one of the most infamous explanations in pop history. Nobody bought it.
Ding 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 diggy ding ding. Ding 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 ding. That's the way theirs goes. Ours goes ding 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 diggy ding ding. Ding 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 diggy ding ding. That little bitty change. It's not the same.
Queen and Bowie threatened to sue, and Ice ended up settling privately for millions, rumored to be around $4 million. The situation embarrassed him publicly and pushed the music industry to get stricter about sampling. And then there was the Suge Knight story. For years, people believed Knight dangled Vanilla Ice over a hotel balcony to force him to sign over royalties. Ice later admitted that while the meeting happened, he was never literally held over the edge. He said Knight didn't need to. The intimidation alone made him hand over the rights. Those rights later helped fund Death Row Records, which became one of hip-hop's most important labels.
The story that has been told is that I was hung over a balcony, which has never happened. He didn't hang me over the balcony. He took me to the balcony and talked to me. I got it. You don't have to hang me over. I didn't want to question that or test that water, so to speak.
After all the lies and scandals, Vanilla Ice's fall was fast. The hip-hop world rejected him completely, seeing him as the face of inauthentic rap. By 1994, he was deep into drugs, ecstasy, cocaine, heroin, and on July 4th, he attempted suicide with a heroin overdose.
I don't have anybody here. I don't have a life at all. My life is just so mixed and horrible that I don't even want to live anymore. And I wanted out. I tried to kill myself. I wanted to die. I did not want to face reality at all.
Friends found him in time and saved his life. After recovering, he tattooed a leaf on his stomach to symbolize turning over a new leaf. In 1995, he toured overseas, stepped away from music for a while, and threw himself into motocross and jet skiing, eventually ranking #6 in the world in sit-down jet skiing. Later that year, he moved into real estate and home renovation, slowly rebuilding his life before eventually returning to music. Drake. He has always been one of the biggest names in hip-hop, but his image of coming from the bottom has never really matched his real background. He grew up in Forest Hill, one of Toronto's richest and safest neighborhoods, not the rough parts of the city like Jane and Finch, Regent Park, or Scarborough. After his parents split, he lived with his mother, Sandy Graham, in a comfortable, mainly Jewish community. He went to Forest Hill Collegiate Institute and Vaughan Road Academy, both regular middle-class schools, nothing close to the dangerous areas he sometimes hints at. Over the years, Drake has said he grew up poor, but even he has admitted that his life was middle class, not a struggle. His biggest difficulty as a kid was simply dealing with his parents' divorce. Before music, Drake was already a working actor. He got his role on Degrassi, The Next Generation in 8th grade, and stayed on the show during his teens.
One morning, though, you stay away from my girl.
The acting money helped him balance school and music, and even though his mom wanted him to stay in school, he eventually dropped out, something made easier because he already had a stable TV job. It's a strange contrast to the tough, self-made street rapper image he later tried to project. Drake has also been criticized for exaggerating his street stories and switching accents, especially his use of Jamaican patois. Toronto locals often point out that Forest Hill doesn't match the lifestyle he raps about on tracks like Energy or You and the Six, where he raps, "Do you remember back to Weston Road, Scarlet Road? Hanging with Aaron Bell and Rennie? Shit could have gone south for me, he looked out for me, ma. He looked out for me, ma." He never let me do drugs, he let me shoot a gun one summer, but out there everyone does. Even Drake has admitted at times that he wasn't always being real and didn't feel comfortable telling the truth early in his career. Then came the Kendrick Lamar situation. In May 2024, Kendrick dropped Not Like Us, a massive diss record that hit Drake harder than any previous beef. Drake tried responding with Family Matters, but Kendrick immediately answered with Meet the Grahams, then Not Like Us, and suddenly the whole world was calling Drake a pedophile. The record blew up so big it turned into a full cultural moment and even walked away with 5 Grammys. Instead of keeping the battle on wax, Drake made a surprising move. He sued his own label, Universal Music Group, in January 2025. He claimed they promoted the diss track and its allegations, putting him and his family in danger. But in October 2025, a federal judge dismissed the case, saying rap diss records are full of exaggeration and not meant to be taken as literal facts. Drake now plans to appeal. To many, this legal move felt like Drake admitting defeat. Instead of out-rapping Kendrick, he took it to court, and that hurt his image far more than any bar Kendrick wrote. Rick Ross. He built his entire rap image around the identity of a powerful cocaine kingpin. Even his name came from the real Freeway Rick Ross, one of the most famous drug lords in American history. From the beginning, Ross's music painted him as a boss who controlled massive drug routes, counted bricks of cocaine, and handled beef with gunfire. In his lyrics, he claimed he lived them. He even rapped, "When I'm making my music and I'm talking about blow, it's because I did it."
So don't never get it twisted. Ricky Rose is a boss. I'm certified worldwide. I could put 1,000 gangsters in any hood.
But in 2008, the fantasy collapsed when actual documents surfaced. The man behind the mic, William Leonard Roberts II, had once worked for the Florida Department of Corrections, and not as an inmate, he was a correctional officer. He wore the uniform, collected the checks, and served for 18 straight months from 1995 to 1997. The revelation was almost unbelievable. Fans were stunned. The hip-hop world exploded with jokes, memes, and non-stop roasting. Overnight, the boss became Officer Ricky. What made it even worse was the paperwork that came with it. His CO file included a certificate for perfect attendance, a detail that social media ran with for months. And before any of that, Ross had even studied criminal justice on a football scholarship.
Let me ask you a question. Did you know Rick while he was working in law enforcement?
He was a correction officer.
So we're clear he was a correctional officer?
Yes, he was.
When the story broke, Ross didn't tell the truth. First, he denied everything and said the photos of him in uniform were fake. He blamed haters and hackers, insisting someone photoshopped his face onto a CO's body. But when his pay stubs, ID number, and official records hit the internet, he switched the story again. Now he said he had worked as a CEO, but only for a few months, and he got fired for being late. But the paperwork told a different story. He worked there for a year and a half and resigned voluntarily.
Were you a correctional officer at one point?
I was, yeah.
So going all the way back, when was that? How long ago?
Maybe when I was 20.
20 years old?
Yeah, I may have last 4 months.
Right.
Before they said,
Yeah.
I was a little tardy.
The constant lies made things worse. A rapper who preached realness had been caught pretending to be something he wasn't. Rivals attacked him, fans clowned him, and the nickname Officer Ricky stuck for years. In 2010, the real Freeway Ricky Ross sued him for $10 million, accusing him of stealing his identity and history. But a California judge ruled in the rapper's favor, saying he had the right to use the name under the First Amendment. Ice Cube. When people talk about gangster rap, Ice Cube's name always comes up. As one of the main writers for NWA, he helped shape the attitude, sound, and raw honesty that made the group legendary. With his permanent scowl, sharp voice, and fearless lyrics about police brutality and life in the hood, Cube looked like someone who had lived every line he wrote. But the truth is more complicated. Ice Cube never actually gangbanged or sold drugs. He grew up in South Central Los Angeles, specifically Westmont, not Compton like many assumed. His neighborhood was rough, but Cube wasn't in a gang. Instead, he watched everything from a close distance. He was later bused 40 miles to Taft High School in Woodland Hills, a suburban, mostly white area far removed from the streets he rapped about. That's where he learned to observe the world around him and turn those observations into powerful stories.
Now, what about the Ice Cube?
Ice Cube was a
great kid, just a nice kid.
So Ice Cube wasn't gangbanging at all?
No.
Cube started writing raps in 9th grade after a friend challenged him in typewriting class. By 16, he formed a group called CIA and soon after joined NWA. He became their main writer and one of the strongest voices on Straight Outta Compton. The question of Cube's street credibility has come up many times, and one of the clearest answers came from Alonzo Williams, an actual Compton figure who was around NWA from the beginning. When asked if Ice Cube was really a gangster, Williams didn't hesitate. He called Cube a great actor.
I thought Ice Cube was the most gangster motherfucker on the planet.
You know what?
I thought Ice Cube come in here and kill everybody. You know what I mean?
He's a great actor.
That's what it is?
He's a great actor.
He also said Eazy-E had more genuine street ties too, but Ice Cube? Smart, talented, articulate, but performing a role. Cube did have a run-in with the law at 16 when he was arrested for grand theft auto and spent 9 months locked up, but that was his only real criminal case. Instead of becoming a hardened gangster, he used the experience to fuel his writing. After leaving NWA in 1990, he dropped his solo debut America's Most Wanted, produced by Public Enemy's Bomb Squad. It blew up instantly, though it also brought controversy for its harsh themes. What makes Ice Cube unique is that he wasn't pretending to be a street soldier, he was documenting what he saw. That talent carried him into Hollywood, where he acted in and later wrote films like Boys in the Hood, eventually becoming one of the most successful entertainers from the rap world. 50 Cent. He is one of the few rappers whose street background wasn't made up or exaggerated, he really lived it. But while he was definitely involved in crime, he wasn't some huge drug kingpin. Curtis Jackson was born on July 6, 1975 in South Jamaica, Queens, and started selling drugs at just 12 years old. By his late teens, he was fully in the street life. In 1994, at age 19, he was arrested by an undercover cop for selling 4 vials of cocaine. 3 weeks later, police raided his house and found heroin, 10 ounces of crack, and a starter pistol. 50 was sentenced to 3 to 9 years, but instead of doing real prison time, he chose boot camp. He served 6 months, earned his GED, and avoided the long sentence that could have ended his future career before it began. Now, what separates 50 Cent from rappers with fake stories is that he tangled with real criminals. For instance, his beef with Supreme McGriff. Supreme was a major New York drug lord and founder of the Supreme Team, one of the most feared crews of the 80s and 90s. His crew reportedly moved over $100 million in drugs. This was real-life danger with real consequences. The biggest turning point came on May 24, 2000. Outside his grandmother's house in Queens, 50 Cent was shot 9 times in a planned hit. The shooter was said to be Daryl Homo Baum, allegedly hired by McGriff. The motive was a track 50 recorded called Ghetto Quran, where he detailed McGriff's criminal past with the line, "See dudes feared Prince and respected Preem. For all you slow mother effers, I'ma break it down niller. See, Preem was the businessman and Prince was the killer." Federal investigators later said McGriff was furious about 50 exposing his business. Murder Inc.'s pager messages during that time suggested there was an active plot to kill him. The shooting was never officially solved, but the streets and the feds linked it back to McGriff. Amazingly, 50 survived bullets to his legs, arms, chest, and even his face. A fragment stuck in his tongue permanently changed how he talks. That recovery period shaped the sound and intensity of the music he'd go on to make.
Where were you shot?
In my hands, my legs several times, like 5 times in my hands, and then in my legs, and then in my face.
But once 50 made it out, he didn't look back. Unlike many rappers who stayed tied to the streets, he moved into legitimate business. He launched G-Unit Records through Interscope in 2003, signed multiple successful artists, built brands like Effin' Vodka, and created the hit TV series Power, which turned into one of the biggest franchises on cable. Gucci Mane. He is one of the few rappers whose wild lifestyle wasn't just talk, he really lived it. The most serious moment came on May 10, 2005, with a killing of Pookie Loke, Henry Lee Clark III, in Decatur, Georgia. According to the official account, Pookie Loke and 3 other men burst into the apartment of a woman Gucci was visiting, supposedly trying to rob or kill him. A fight broke out, shots were fired, and Pookie Loke ended up dead. His body was later found in a ditch near school.
Didn't hit him real hard, had him wrapped up. Another guy had a weapon, hit one of the other guys with a weapon. it became a situation where he defended himself.
Pookie Loc was tied to Young Jeezy, and both camps were already beefing. Jeezy had released the diss track Stay Strapped, hinting at putting a bounty on Gucci's head, with the line, "I got a bounty on that ish dude, 10 stacks, so if he come to your town and you just happen to snatch that mother F off his neck, I'ma shoot you the 10 stack, man, so I can cremate that mother F." And people believed the robbery was connected to that tension. Gucci turned himself in and was charged with murder, but prosecutors dropped the case after ruling he acted in self-defense. Gucci later used the incident to taunt Jeezy, even years later when they reconciled on some level. Outside the Pookie Loc situation, Gucci's record was long. In June 2013, he hit a fan over the head with a bottle at an Atlanta club. Days later, he punched another fan in Philadelphia. That same September, police arrested him twice in 2 days. A friend had called 911 because Gucci was acting erratically. When officers arrived, he was yelling, threatening them, and carrying a loaded .40 caliber Glock and marijuana. Federal prosecutors later charged him with being a felon in possession of a firearm, and in May 2014, Gucci pled guilty. A big part of Gucci's legal troubles came from his heavy lean addiction. Court documents mention his erratic behavior during his 2013 arrest, and Gucci himself later admitted he used to binge on codeine and promethazine. In 2014, he received a 39-month federal sentence. The judge noted his long history with guns and violence and ordered mental health treatment. Gucci served his time at the federal prison in Terre Haute, Indiana. His sentence was later reduced after the court credited almost a year he had already served. On May 26, 2016, he walked out of prison early, slimmer, sober, and in better shape.
I was drinking pints of lean a week and smoking pounds of weed and just doing all kind of drugs, and just the whole way I was just handling myself before I went to jail was just so negative.
But after his release, Gucci completely flipped his life. He dropped the first day out the feds and came back stronger than ever, rebuilding his career and becoming one of the most influential figures in modern rap. Raw Diggs. He's one of the most extreme examples of a rapper whose music and online presence were used as direct evidence of real crimes. Before rap, Heron was already a powerful figure in a blood set called the Murderous Mad Dogs, or MMDB, which controlled the cocaine and heroin trade in the Gowanus and Wyckoff housing projects in Brooklyn. He ran this operation from the late 90s until 2011, building a violent reputation along the way. Heron had been locked up before. He caught a drug charge in 2002 and served time until 2007, but instead of changing course after prison, he rose even higher in the gang when he got out, becoming a top figure in the MMDB. He was eventually convicted of 3 murders: Frederick Brooks, 2001, Richard Russo, and Victor Zapata. The Brooks killing is especially notable because Heron was first tried in state court and acquitted after witnesses backed out, something prosecutors blamed on intimidation. But in his later federal RICO case, he was convicted of that same murder. What sets Raw Diggs apart is how openly he documented his lifestyle. He posted YouTube videos bragging about beating murder and stabbing charges, calling himself the leader of the Murderous Mad Dogs. He tweeted about beating the body and appearing in music videos firing guns and threatening violence. He even rapped detailed descriptions of killings, like his verse on Waka Flocka Flame's Live by the Gun, which prosecutors played in court. He rapped, "Ask my ninja. Uncle, when I murder with a chopper. Ninja shot me 5 times. 2 days later, the ninja died. Ninja shooting at the 5 is committing a suicide."
The music is basically us talking about the life that we come from, not necessarily saying this is what I did. You know, this is a very intelligent man, and this is not a man who would commit all these crimes and didn't tell you for you to use it against him.
In 2014, Heron faced a massive 23-count federal indictment that included racketeering, murders, drug trafficking, firearms, and robbery. The trial lasted 5 weeks, but the evidence, much of it coming from his own mouth, was overwhelming. The jury deliberated for just 1 day before finding him guilty on all counts. Heron stayed calm as the verdict was read, but he later argued that prosecutors were painting him as a monster. The judge didn't buy it, saying Heron showed an utter lack of remorse and had a warped view of his own actions. On April 2, 2015, Heron was sentenced to 12 life sentences plus 105 years, guaranteeing he will die behind bars. He was sent to ADX Florence, the highest security federal prison in America. He is the only rapper there, a sign of how dangerous the government considers him. Heron later appealed, claiming his lyrics were protected art, not confessions. but the court rejected that argument, ruling that his videos clearly showed his role in the gang and his crimes.